Well, fine, good afternoon all. This is Patricia and I am traveling for history. I'm in Salisbury, Vermont today, and this is the historical name for this place is the Salisburyfishhatchery, but it's now the Salisburyfishculturestation. The gentleman over here is Alan, who is going to be giving us a tour of the lighthouse. And if you look at the entry for this on the Wikipedia website, the only photograph is of this building, even though all of that right there, all of that is part of the culture station. So, all right. Without further ado, I'm going to have Alan take it away because what he doesn't know, we don't need to know.
So this is the lighthouse. This is where we photo manipulate the fish to produce eggs whenever we want.
Wow.
So an extra step there and an extra step in the next. So this building has probably been built since the early 90s.
Wow, look how big these fish are.
Yes, these are our adult broodstock. So this raceway with the fish show, this was originally here before they built the lighthouse. So this was probably built around the same time some of the other raceways outside were built. We'll see those a little bit. And then they put the building on top of this and said we got to start, build a photo manipulation. So we now have LEDs up here. They're not all that good. It's the way it is. We used to have just fluorescent lights in here, similar setup, and some old timers, some old light timers, a big industrial light timer. Now we've got the really fancy. These are like something you'd use in a barn system. These fancy light timers they use for agriculture. I think they manipulate chicken farms. I think they do like feeding manipulations and stuff like that. You can actually have lights come on when they're feeding and ramp down times for quiet times or whatever. But we just generally use it for on-off type stuff. But it's nice because you can set it up and override a lot of the programs. But I have sheets inside just written down exactly what our time is. So this is the reason we use a lighthouse is we're trying to raise a bigger fish. That's pretty much it. Getting an egg at an earlier time, we can put a bigger fish out for people to catch.
Wow.
And a lot of our hatcheries have issues with their water. Our water is constant water temperature, so we can dial in growth a lot easier than other hatcheries, which may have really warm water in the summer or cold water in the winter. So there's peak times that they can feed the fish, but a lot of times it's more the art at the other hatcheries than the science. So we've got to kind of dial to the science. So some of our hatcheries want summer eggs. We even like summer eggs because the fish can get bigger. You might have a bigger fish for stocking and for producing eggs. So these fish here are brown trout. Now with these guys, we just finished spawning outside. These would be what if you stock trophy trout or if you caught trophy trout, brown trout in the state of Vermont this past year, they were probably some of these fish. These are the same size, a little bit bigger. So these are going on 3 years old right now. And their first spawn is in the fall, so October, November, these guys are producing eggs. So we've pretty much taken these fish, cleaned all the eggs out, and Patricia asked earlier how we take the eggs out of the fish. Well, we have to take the fish, we literally physically have to pick the fish up. So we'll have a whole setup with a table and some stock tanks with water and anesthetic in it. I'll have to pick those fish up. All those are females. Now we have crowders, we'll crowd the fish up, and then I lift them up into these tanks with water in them, and they'll knock out, and then I lift them into a recovery tub, and then I can pick them up and squeeze the eggs out, and then I'll squeeze the eggs into a bucket. If I'm not using the eggs, they'll get squeezed out. Like these guys, I didn't use any eggs in the fall. I just squeeze the eggs into a bucket, and then I put them in a recovery tub with salt water. Then they go back into the raceway to fully recover, and then they're good. Hopefully they survive the ordeal, which is usually 90% survive. A lot of times, depending on our species, they survive that ordeal fine, and then they'll produce eggs the following summer. These fish, I stripped them out this one time. Now these guys and girls are under a 15-hour light cycle. I turn them right up to 15 hours after I clean them out because I want these to give me eggs late June next year. So we're talking 5-6 months later. I want these guys producing eggs, and they'll start producing those eggs in May inside the fish. So they need to be like on a long cycle right now. It's 15 hours. I'll turn them up to 16 hours in January. They'll be on 16 hours for probably a month, and then I'll slowly start, turning those lights back so they think it's, fall in end of June. So they'll be on like a 8 to 9 hour cycle in end of June when I start taking eggs out. And those eggs will go to Bennington. Usually Bennington gets those eggs and Bald Hill gets those eggs. We take our brood line in the summer, so we take some of those eggs as well. Even Grand Isle, and we Fish Culture Station, they get eggs out of summer browns. We all kind of struggle with these fish don't grow really fast for us, so you want a 10-inch fish in a year and a half's time, so we really need to take eggs out of summer so we have a few extra months of growth for these fish. So that's the brown trout. So these guys they're still males. These are males. Mm-hmm. Females and males. We keep them separate. Once they're old enough, I keep them separate. It's a lot less lifting for me. I've sorted these fish. These males will stay like that until next year. And then I only have to lift the females. When I want to find the eggs, I got to count all these up and I got to go sort through them and start finding eggs. And say, all right, I found 10 fish. All right, I don't need them. I can strip those out. I'll wait till the next week. And the next week's, I got 50 fish. Now we start spawning. We'll do that for like 3-4 weeks in June or end of June into July. So we'll be done spawning these probably by the beginning of August. Then these fish will get stocked out in the fall. I'll stock these in various places in the fall. It's on our website. You just look in the springtime when we have an updated website. You'll find where it says brood, BR. You see, BR and what we're stocking instead of yearling. If it's a BR, it's a brood stocking. So there's certain places we stock these every few years. We rotate we rotate every third year to different places. Lake Dunmore got fish this year, and Lake Fairleigh got fish this year. Next year will be some other ponds, and then the next year after that will be some other ponds, and then we'll rotate back to Dunmore and Fairleigh. So that's how we rotate through the cycle. We do that every year, pretty much, a lot of fish. So next year, there'll be a new batch in here. So we spawn these pretty much once in the fall, just to clean them out, and then we do an actual, spawn where we take the eggs and incubate them in the summertime. And we don't keep them longer because they get too big, we run out of space, and the egg quality goes down. So usually there's a peak time for these fish. There'll be like a couple of years of peak time. It's kind of like with humans. There's a peak time, and then there's not a peak time. So we hit that peak time with these fish, and then afterwards they just get too big, they're too hard to spawn, and we're running out of space, and we just have a good rotation right now to be able to stock the fish out at this size, as a 4-year-old spawn, instead of keeping them at 6 years old and this big.
Wow.
They will grow. These fish will grow really fast. These brown trout. Once they get up to age 4 and 5, they'll grow really fast. They'll be 15 pounds before you know it.
So I just have a handful of questions. We'll start here. Yeah. These are covered. Are they covered because of the light?
Yeah. We got in a whole situation of, we shut this down, we want it dark. But I think you can still have some light. So a few years ago, I put these on because you'd be surprised. You come here in the middle of summer, any crack opens up and you'll see light hitting the tank. If there's no lights hitting the tank, I feel pretty confident. So our previous boss, who's no longer with us, we went on this whole, hey, let's, seal up every crack. So I was over here for one summer just sealing up every crack.
Wow.
I did it all, and then I saw these things beaming light out. I was like, I'm going to put that on there just because. It doesn't really matter. I'll tell you right now, years ago before I started, see these walls aren't painted. Well, one time they painted them, it delayed the spawning on these fish. That's what I heard anyway. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but...
Why would that be the case?
It's just brighter. I think it made it brighter. See this dark in here? So because these lights are failing, I think we used to have the old fluorescent lights. It was set up with, I could switch there was two banks of lights, so I could actually turn one switch and dim them. So I could actually have a lower light because in the fall the light's not way up here in the sky; it's down here. It's on the horizon. It's hopping over here. So it's just a darker, that harvest season. The sun is a lot lower in the sky. So I think having a dimmer light might have helped in that situation. So the situation of painting the walls, maybe it just made it like summertime again, and it just delayed that spawn. We manipulated a lot in this lighthouse, and we always. Crossing our fingers that we had the old timers and they were just a pin timer. Like your old, if the pin fell, you were on 24 hours of light for a week.
Wow.
And we messed something up. So
wow.
We try to dial. These are really nice. They work. They power goes out. There's a battery in there. It's fine. This room will lose power. This room is not under generator power. Other hatchery buildings are under generator power. So, but this, they were fine. And this is just, you know, we have water pumped in up here from our wells and goes through like 3 raceways. We have oxygen, these black line is oxygen, we got oxygen in here. So this is these guys.
Do these fish ever eat each other?
When they're smaller, they would. I mean, well, those fish will fight with each other.
Okay.
I'll show you that up on these fish. They're not too bad, but if some of them are a little beat up, they will fight because they're males.
Right.
The females will fight with each other during the spawn.
I'm sorry, they'll do what?
During the spawn, they will fight with each other.
Oh, wow.
But if they're really small fish in there, they'll beat up each other. But yeah, browns will eat smaller fish. If there's a small berkey in there, yeah, they would definitely try to eat it. If it's half its size, definitely.
So do the female fish go into heat?
They actually have, they'll have a spawn time. So they will just start producing eggs, and then that's their time. They don't have like a cycle,
okay,
like a regular, like a human or another animal. They just have basically the time that they'll spawn, and they'll start producing eggs, and that's life cycle. So they'll start, turning, they'll start to produce eggs. But it's a good thing you brought that up, because they'll start producing eggs in let's say, whenever life cycle's, peaking, they'll start, well, once you'll get to summer and they'll start ramping down, let's say 12 hours. 12 hours is about the time things start happening. 12 hours, the females will be producing eggs. And if I have a dead one, I can cut it open and I can see it producing eggs. Oh yeah, and I can track the development down. The males will start to nudge up to the front of this tank here.
Oh, I saw them do that earlier.
They'll come and hang out here and look and say, hey, they know the females are getting ready. So the closer to spawn, they'll be stacking up. You'll see that here. They're closer to spawn, and they'll start fighting with each other. They'll start getting fungus. These still have a little fungus on them. You can tell. You know it's time. And if these are full of eggs, and even though I haven't touched the fish, if those males start, I see fungus on them. Yep, the females are ready. And that's what happened this year. These guys are ready. And then the females will start. Some of the tails will start to rot a little bit because they're ready. They'll actually try to make us. That looks like gravel to them. So they'll try to clean that gravel and spawn.
Wow.
But they usually won't drop their eggs in the raceway. They really need the gravel. But the males definitely know the females are ready. So, there's, hormones in the water, something going on. And like this fish here, he jumped out.
Wow.
This is the rainbow. This is the Eagle Lake rainbow. He jumped out from over there.
Wow.
He's a boy. He's got a pointed snout.
So that's how you know it's a boy?
Yeah, that's one way to tell. One way to tell it's a boy. He's more of a pointed snout, little flatter body. And if I'm lucky, hey, look at that.
Wow.
He's got milk. Yeah, and blood. But that's a boy. They're a little ornery up here. So these are going through the spawn right now. These are the Eagle Lake rainbows. These are under a different life cycle. I just have the door open because. But these are under like 8 hours of light right now. So these are actually kind of like watching. You just put them right up. Put the camera right on. You're watching fight. See that chasing each other around?
Huh.
They're performing.
I like when they perform.
Look at that.
Oh.
Usually they see you and they stop doing that. But these guys are pretty ornery.
How old are they?
These are the males. These males we've already used. So you can hear some jumping going on up there. These Eagle Lakes are they're a different critter. They're trying to jump. I have fish way up top where the water comes in that are spawned out, and then the ones below that are the females, and they're trying to jump up or down. And then I have a little screen right here because these males are all stacked up here. They're all right up there because they want to be with the girls. And these same thing. They're all stacked. These are ones we've already used. We're taking a brood line. So when I take a brood line, I'm taking a little batch of eggs out of each spawn. So I take, and when I spawn, I'm knocking them out in tubs like those tubs right there. I'll have all those lined up, and I'll have a spawning operation set up to where I'll Fish
Oh,
will
wow.
knocked out. And, most of it's set up outside right now. And I'll take those eggs. The fish is ready. She's knocked out in the chemicals, so she'll be asleep. I'll rinse her off, and then I can gently squeeze her belly, and the eggs will come out if she's ready. And I've already checked them the day before. I've gone through them, physically lifted all those fish. All right, I got 50 fish ready. Okay, tomorrow we're spawning 50 fish. So next day, I take those fish will be in a separate section of Raceway. I will take those and just select those fish out and knock those out, knock them out again, and then squeeze the eggs out, and then they'll go in the recovery bath of salt, and then they'll go back in that upper section. Same with the males. The males will go in, I'll squeeze them like I did that one, get the milk out of them, on top, fertilize the eggs, and then that boy will go into a different recovery tub of salt water, and they'll get shuffled down here. So I won't use them again. So I don't want to reuse those males with that brood line. I want to have a solid 1-to-1 paired mating just for keeping the genetics really good. So that's when the biggest thing with inbreeding would be just using a handful of males, reusing them and stuff. But so anyway, so I usually have enough males to do my spawn once, and then I'll get recovered, and if I need them again, they'll be here. But yeah, they're pretty stressed right now. They go through a lot of stress. I think during the spawn, they'll get fungus and they'll fight. Like they're doing this all day long. Just fight, and they'll get fungus. And I can try to treat them with salt. That's there's a little bit of salt here. And I'll treat the racer with salt because that will kill the fungus.
Salt, like table salt?
Like table salt? Okay. Real table salt. And it's hard to find because usually they have agricultural salt, like animal salt, which is full of chemicals, which is full of like minerals and other stuff. So you put that in the water and it's like minerals in the bottom of your tank. Or it's a different color. Sometimes it's red. We have like salt licks which are red.
Oh wow!
I used that one time. It worked.
Wow. It's amazing to watch them jump over there.
Yeah, and that's like down back. And that's how you can tell a fish are getting ready to spawn versus not. The fish wouldn't normally if the fish normally did that, throughout the summer, then something's wrong. They got parasites or something. Like these guys, we're still having issues trying to figure these fish out because I think they're a little more sensitive than some of our other fish. This is the second year we've been spawning these eagle lakes. Like this is the second batch of fish that we got from the Montana hatchery that had them. So we're still trying to figure them out. Mortality, they a little more die than we want to, and it's like maybe they just need a little more time here and resistance, or they just we've never had rainbows in the we've never done rainbows, and they just seem to be they're just different. But I think they're good fish.
So the ones that are jumping, are those females?
Those are females. See the ones up top? Yeah, those are females. And they'll do that to loosen eggs. I think that's another thing they'll do. They get the eggs. Their eggs. I've heard that's what they'll do. They'll jump up and kind of do a random smack, trying to loosen eggs in their belly. Trying to push those eggs out. I'm sure next week I'll find a bunch. I found 41 last week. About probably like 14% of our population have eggs.
Oh wow!
Now, which is still low, but we'll get to next week. We'll probably find another. Hopefully find 60 fish because we need to take ovarian fluid for fish health. We do fish health during our spawn too. Taking fluid out of the fish when they're taking the eggs out, they're in ovarian fluid. So that fluid is taken and we do tests on it to see if they have diseases or not. So that's one of our other ways of sampling these fish during this time.
So if you find any of these with diseases, do you remove them?
We could. If it's a disease we don't want, if all of a sudden they found something really bad, like there's some really bad diseases, we'd be like, okay, we're going to destroy. If you're in like I showed you those raceways, if they're all going to line up, we'll probably destroy the whole batch. But the problem is, it takes time to do that. It takes time to do those disease samples. So usually by the time those samples would come back, since our water temperature is so fast, those fish are probably gone. Those eggs are probably already be gone.
Oh,
So
wow.
we haven't had that. We haven't had a problem. Any significant. We have some minor disease problems, that we can manage. Which are things we can disinfect. Like if it's a disease we can disinfect off the eggs, sure, we can disinfect those and go into another facility, which is fine. If it's a disease we can't disinfect off the eggs, there's two kinds of diseases. There's ones that are that the disease will be on the egg, that you can disinfect it off the outside of the egg. So no biggie. We can manage it here. Other hatcheries will be clean. We can ship eggs elsewhere. But if it's a disease that's vertically transmitted, meaning it's inside the fish, it's actually in the egg, then we can't. That's the one we have a hard time disinfecting in the egg.
Right.
So because the egg water hardens, and we can't get any disinfectant in there. We can't get iodine the inside of the egg. That's why we water harden them in iodine, because sometimes you can get some in there that'll kill. But there's some diseases that just you got to be really careful. So hatcheries get bad diseases out west, and they kill the whole hatchery. Like the whirling disease.
Wow.
I think that's one. I think you can't disinfect. I think that just gets in there. But,
so when you say whirling, how's the word whirling spelled?
WHIRLING.
Okay, so I want to look that up later. Whirl.
Whirl.
Okay, whirl.
With a what, like a queen thing. A queen, yeah. But yeah, we do like the salt treatments help, and this is another thing. These fish are still, like you talked about, like the fish, getting excited, like these males get excited. One of the ways I can remedy this is once I get enough eggs out of those fish, I got to strip every single one of the eggs out of those fish. All those fish I got to go through multiple times until I get all the eggs out of those fish. So every week that batch is going to get smaller and smaller, but I still got about 500 fish there. So I got to physically lift those fish every week and strip the eggs out. Once I get all those eggs out, they're going to stop thinking about spawning. So they're going to stop, and then I can do that recovery process. I want to get that done by January 1st. I know it's not going to happen. It's going to be probably mid-January, but most of those fish will be stripped out. Because then, guess what I can do? I can turn the lights. The lights are going down. Lights are going to go back up. I'm going to be able to put those on instead of the 8-hour cycle they're on now, the spawn cycle. I can put them on 15, 16 hours of light, the summer cycle. That's going to break the fungus cycle that's going on. That's going to break their spawn cycle. They're going to be like, hey, they're going to be like these fish down here. They're going to eat. These fish are eating. And these fish are spawning in November, and we're a month later, I got them on food. I got my hand coming and feeding them. We don't feed them during the spawn because you're squeezing them and there's poop coming out.
Oh wow.
They don't eat, or they will, but you don't want to feed them. So they're off food for like a month. But
wow.
once you get them cleaned up, and then you hopefully get them back on food, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And that's generally how we, our browns, our brookies, they respond really well. These rainbows, a little bit, but it'll take them a little longer. Because then, they can feed them, and they're like, they come back and they're really fighting. They're really fighting back. It's just like, there's a couple cats in the barnyard.
Yeah, we were jumping over here a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like chasing each other's tails. Yeah. And that's how they get the fungus and they feed up and everything. Yeah. And the lights are slowly ramping down in this building. By 3 o'clock, the lights will be dark in this section.
Wow.
That's about all I got for over here.
Wow.
And we'll spawn these next summer. We'll dial these into our summer spawn, and we won't take a brood line then. We've already taken our brood line now. We'll be taking it now, and then the summertime we'll just need a handful of fish in here to do our summer program. Which actually a lot of eggs do, rainbows, we do have a lot of our private hatcheries like those summer eggs as well because they get a bigger fish. They're raising them for stocking or for meat product or whatever. So the bigger the better. So
When the lights are off, are they sleeping at all?
they'll slow down. They'll slow down. If it's dark enough, they'll slow down. But fun fact, these fish will spawn usually at night, like in the wild.
Oh, wow.
They're early morning, evening spawn. I've seen it myself. Fish a lot of times will run right now. When it's starting to get dark, they'll run up in that brook to spawn, and they'll spawn, and then maybe they'll run back to the lake, or they'll go to that deeper pool. They'll go to those shallow, gravelly areas. But those areas are, they're vulnerable during the day because there's blue herons, there's fishermen, there's raccoons or whatever. The water is only this deep, and they're vulnerable. So a lot of times they're spawning in those spots, in the evening. Full moon night, they'll be there because they can probably visualize stuff. Yeah, I don't know how good they can see when it's dark, but see, there's a crack over there.
Yes.
There's light, and it's Now it's not too bad because it's not that bright outside, but in summer day, you can walk through here sometimes, and there's enough light open to it. And I got light over there because you don't have a door. But, yep, that's about it for this this section.
Wow. Well, this is Patricia and Traveling for History. I'd like to thank Alan for this wonderful tour of this of the lighthouse. And until I see you again, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.